Welcome to Alaskan Freedom.
Normally our videos are about us building our cabin and in rural Alaska, but this week we're doing something different.
For us, part of the off-grid lifestyle, it's not just building your own cabin, but it's also building all the other little things.
Yeah, for instance, furniture. In 2023, we moved to Alaska to fulfill our dream of a better quality of life. Follow along as we transform our few acres of Alaskan off-grid virgin land into our dream homestead.
We are Jay and Elaine, and this is Alaskan Freedom.
We have a video where we finished our toilet room and we needed like a little end table type thing in there. So we built one.
Our bathroom furniture.
Yeah.
You could probably buy one of these from IKEA or Walmart for only $30.
If you were to buy one from like IKEA or Walmart, like Elaine said, it would be out of particle wood. It wouldn't be out of solid wood. This is built out of solid wood, hand built. To buy one like that would cost hundreds of dollars, as much as $400 that I've seen online. But usually for this size, they're about $150 to $200. But this one is special to us.
So this wood is specifically special because this wood specifically came from our bed frame. The bed frame that we used when we were still living down the tent.
So this week we're going to show you how we built this.
Well, technically he built it.
Well, yeah, and I even mentioned in the beginning of the video that Elaine and I are building this together. The reason Elaine did not help me with this is because if you saw our last video, Elaine built the, which is behind here, the big custom headboard artwork. And it ended up taking a little longer than she had originally planned. So while she was doing that project, this is actually what I was doing. So I'm going to show you how I did that this week.
Thank you for joining us.
Today, Elaine and I are making a little end table that's going to go in our bathroom, in the toilet room, and just set toilet paper on it and little odds and end things. It's going to be small, but it's going to be special to us because we are building this out of wood that comes from our bed frame. So when we lived in the tent while we were building the cabin, we built a wood bed frame on a 2x4 and 2x6. And when we moved into the cabin, we built a Murphy bed and took that bed frame apart. And this is the lumber that's left over from that. And that was one of the first projects we built together. So now we're going to have that wood turned into a piece of furniture that we're always going to have. So kind of a cool memory. And that's 2x4 and 2x6. And there is a couple of pieces of 1x that is left over from trim we did on windows that we're going to use also. But it's going to be a cool piece of furniture. So the pieces are cut. I'm going to sand them now. And then Elaine and I are going to put this together and give it kind of a cool rustic finish when we're done. So we're going to get started on that. We got all of our pieces cut and sanded, and now we're going to try to, well, not try, we're going to assemble them. But first I'm just going to put them together and make sure everything fits right. So that'll be the base, which is two 2x4s, two 2x6s, the one 2x6 will come across as a shelf. This will be up more in the center, and then this 1x8 is the top shelf. And then these are 1x6s that will go here. They will encase both sides of this and make this kind of like a little magazine stand or whatever you want to set in there. But what I just realized is I should have cut this piece 3 inches shorter. So we're going to do that real quick. Cut this side off instead of this side because it has a couple knots in there. So when we're screwing it together, not having those knots will be easier. So let's get rid of those. First thing we're going to do is attach the legs to the base. It's pre-drill, so then this is 5.5 wide. So we're going to go inches. Maybe a little. Don't judge me for putting my gloves on. It's like 25 degrees out. So these are our legs. We want to decide which side we like as the outside. Going to be the more exposed side. Put those like that. This is the shelf that will be the middle shelf. So we'll put that in there just to get our proper spacing. The thing is these do not sit exactly on that. So we're going to have to get this thing to all sit up a little higher. So right now that is sitting up 1.5 inches higher here. So we're going to split that difference, about 3/4 inch. So we want this to be all sitting up 3/4 inch when we nail it or screw it into these, which works out pretty good because the other boards we're using for this project are 1x, which happen to be 3/4 inch wide. And you can see how nice those screw heads set in there since we did the pre-sunk holes, the counter-sunk holes. So they sit nice and flush. This bottom, this is pretty rough, but I wanted to use this wood specifically. As I mentioned earlier, this is reclaimed wood from another project Elaine and I did. So it's kind of special to us to be using this wood. Otherwise I wouldn't use something this beat up. But it's the bottom of the project. And what we are going to do is, when this is all done, is actually put a layer of foam or padding, like a real thin, almost like a drawer liner, on the bottom of this. So the legs in so far. Next, we'll go in this shelf. So we're going to figure out the height that we're going to put it. So this is going to have pocket holes that go up this way and this way to attach into here. I'll show you in a bit what pocket holes are if you're not familiar. And then for the top piece, the same thing. There's going to be pocket holes that go up to attach that. We will just throw some finished nails in those on each side. Yes. So what we're going to do is come down 11 3/4. And that will be the top of the shelf. Alright, if you're not familiar with the pocket hole jig, there's a lot of different kinds. This is a very basic small one. What it does is it has a special drill bit that goes in it and drills your perfect holes at the angle. So when it comes out, so that your screws will go in and hit the other piece of wood without coming out the other side. So everything is pre-marked, so you have everything preset to drill the right size hole, and then there is corresponding screws that go with this so that you do everything just perfectly right. So the first thing we're going to do is set this to the right size. We are using the same size of wood. We're going from 1.5 inches to 1.5 inches, so we're not going to have to worry about it. But later we will be going from 1.5 inches to 3/4. And anytime you're doing that, you're going to use the smaller size of the wood. But right now we're doing 1.5 inches to 1.5 inches, so it's pretty easy. So we're going to change this piece right here. It's probably hard to see on camera, but it's got all the different markings here. So we're going to move this arrow over to 1.5 inches, which is right there. So there's also there's gauges on the back of this tool also, where you will set your drill bit, and the end of the drill bit here should be set to the depth of whatever your wood is. So, or I'm sorry, not the end of the drill bit, but the end of the big part, the fat part of the drill bit, should be set to the proper depth too. So first we'll loosen this little collar, and then we're going to move this so that the fat part of the drill bit, see right there, is set for 1.5 inches right there. Like I see the got a little mark there. Now, one thing I was taught is to always go to that depth and then just bring it back a touch. So we have it there, but we are going to bring it back about 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch. And then we're going to tighten this collar on. And that gives us the proper length. This collar is a stop. So when we're drilling through here, it's the stop to give us the perfect depth. So setting that collar is giving us the right depth for this. And next, so this is going to be the top of the shelf. The bottom has more screw holes in it from the last project it came from, so I want this to be the bottom. So we are going to basically be putting 2 screws each direction going into the other piece of wood. So this part here will get clamped onto here, and we'll do one here, and then we'll move it over and do one here so that there's 2 screws here. That onto the board just to hold it in place. Just going to drill this right into here now. And like I said, this is a small kind of, I don't know if you'd say beginner's version of this, for like a beginner woodworker. They make really cool ones where it's all integrated with a clamping system where the board sits in there and it's got a big lever and it clamps it in, and then you just run these right through. It's a little quicker and easier, especially if you're doing a lot of holes, but they're quite expensive, so this is the one I'm using for now. It's, like I said, my beginner version, but it works great. This clamp is exactly the size I needed. 24-inch clamp. If this spot was any bigger, I wouldn't have a big enough clamp to do this. We got our pocket holes drilled out, and we have this in place. We have it lined up where we want. We have it clamped together, and now we're going to put screws in through here. Right on it. It's just telling us what size of screw to use. So for material thickness, we're at 1.5 inches. So we were to use the 2.5-inch screw, which is the longer one. And this has also some of the jigs come with it. Mine didn't, the bigger ones do, but you can buy these pretty cheap and separately. It's the square head bit that goes into these, but it's also long because there's quite a bit of depth when you're going into these, and so it's just nice to have a long one. And before we do this, so we don't blow these screws out and come out the other side, I'm going to turn my torque on my drill. I'm not going to use my ratchet because it might be too much and come out the other side, so we're going to turn the torque of the drill down to about 7 to start and see how that works. Let's go up to 9 just to make sure it's tight. 7 didn't feel very powerful. I don't think it really did anything. Alright, we'll just do with that for now. The whole idea of the pocket hole is to not only drill your hole at the right angle, but it also has this special drill bit that drills kind of a pilot hole at looks like about 1/4 inch deeper than the rest of the width. So the width of this is 3/8, allowing more than enough room for the head of the screw to sink down in. But then when the head gets to the area where this collar has stopped the bit and the hole will be smaller, then that flat head, it's got a big head on them. That's why you want to make sure you're using pocket hole screws, not a regular screw, because if you had a regular screw and it had a beveled edge, it would just blow right through there and come out the other end. So this one's nice, that flat part of the head will stop when it hits the seat, as long as you're not using the wrong setting on your impact wrench or your drill bit and going too hard. But it stops automatically when it gets to that. So you're keeping your screws hidden out of place, because now they're inside that pocket hole. And then later we're going to come back with plugs that are specially made that fit that 3/8 hole, and put those in, flush cut them off, sand them down, and then we're going to stain all that. So these holes in this particular piece of furniture here are going to be kind of in areas you don't see them anyway. But I'm still going to put the plugs in. This is my first time using those plugs. I'm going to put them in anyways, and just to try them out and see how it comes out. This is just a shelf for our bathroom, so if I make some mistakes on it, it's no big deal. It's kind of a test system for me. I've actually never used these pocket holes, by the way. I'm all new to this too. The screws are right here, and with the length of that, I cannot get into there. So I was well advised of that before I got into this project. And I got one of these, so it'll shorten up the distance we need and give me a 90 to work with. This piece now turns that, and I can have this at a 90, so now I can get into these tight spots and get, you know, however I need that in there. So I really should be clamping this somehow. I am still new to woodworking in a sense, this kind of woodworking. I don't have the kind of clamps that I really wish I had for this kind of project, so we're not doing the clamp. Just go right in there. And there is our, it's wobbly on here. This bench I'm on is not flat. Not the best place to be building wood projects like this. These are the plugs. There's different ways to do these plugs. I'm doing it the easy way, which is to just buy them. You can make your own out of dowels, or just fill these with wood glue and sawdust mixture or wood putty. But I bought the universal 3/8 dowels, or 3/8 plugs. Got a little wood glue here. Just put a little bit on this. I hope I'm doing this right, but I don't see any other way to do it. And then just stick that right in there. Well, that comes out almost perfectly flush. So you see that came out. That's the nice thing about buying these, is they come out almost flush. I will take a sander once this wood glue is dried and just sand it down a little bit. I just noticed my screws were sticking out. I didn't look at that earlier and see that. So where I did my pocket holes, my screws are sticking out. That's a bummer. They're coming out just about a 1/16 of an inch. Not quite an 1/8 of an inch, but about a 1/16 of an inch out the other end here. So 2 of them, if you can see this, barely are pushing up through the wood. No, I'm sorry, 3 of them. And then this one here actually came out. So that could be me setting the tightness too tight on the bit or on the drill and sinking them too hard, or maybe I made a mistake somewhere when I was setting it. So our fix for that is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to double up this top. I'm going to have to get a piece. I don't have it here at the cabin, so I'm going to have to run to the hardware store soon and get another piece of this 1x8 And so that'll just be doubled up. So there'll be 2 layers of that. And when we do the second piece, what we'll do is cut it to the same size. We'll glue it right down to this, clamp it, and then just run a few finish nails up through the bottom from one to the other. I don't know what else to do.
Where are your glasses?
They're in the shed on the top shelf, like if you walk straight in on the door.
In the shed? In the top drawer?
No, the shelf above the drawers.
Shelf above the
Yeah, if you just walk straight in, they'll be right there on that top shelf.
Okay.
On the shelf right there. Fortunately, this is a piece that is ours, and the easy fix is just going to be, we're going to put another piece right on top of it. I'm just going to double up this top and cover that up. I'm going to clamp this together, glue it, and put a few finish nails in the bottom just to kind of hold that together. It'll still look fine. It'll be 1.5 inches thick now, which actually matches the 2x4 of the base. But I wish I didn't do that, but you live and learn. So let's get this attached. This piece is already cut to length and sanded down. So I guess maybe it's only getting glued on because I do not have the proper size nails. For my finish and brad nailers, I have inch and then it jumps to 1.5 inches. I don't have some 1.25 inches. So the 1 inch really isn't going to bite onto this at all. The 1.5 inches are the exact width of this. So with them coming through, they sink just a little bit, and that might be popping them up through the top of this, and then we're just in the same place we started with something sticking up. We're just going to glue it and let the glue hold it. This is just a top sitting on top of a shelf that's not going to have any force on it other than things sitting on it, so I'm not going to worry about it. Now, the next thing we're going to do is basically just let this sit overnight, let this dry, and then we are going to stain this and let it sit overnight again, and then we're going to do a coating of paint over it and sand it and try to get that country furniture look or country feel look to it. So see how that comes out. Yeah, that's why I buy those cheap things. For that reason. The snow just all fell off our roof. It snowed about 4 or 5 inches yesterday, and it's going to be 40 every day for the next week, so it'll all melt quick, but that is enough snow. It'll probably take at least probably 2-3 days to melt. But what I'm doing real quick, because it's nice out now, is I'm going to try to put some sandpaper to this finish. So far we have stained it and then come back over it with a white paint real lightly, trying to give just kind of a rustic country finish. And this is the first time I've tried to do this finish, so it's completely new to me. Now what we're going to do is take some 80 grit and then some finer, probably 320 grit, and just kind of experiment, see what happens. So there you go. I think I'm sanding a little harder than I want, because this is kind of the effect we wanted, like this and this. But I was hoping, you can see here the sand actually went right through even the stain I put on, right down to the bare wood here. And I wanted it to be still the darker color of the stain to show through when we were done, rather than going all the way down to bare wood. I'm glad I tested it on these bottom pieces. I'm just going to be a little less aggressive with the sanding. So the only thing I got left down to do is these pieces are, I'm actually going to just throw a couple finish nails in here to hold that up on each side. This is not a piece I'm building for somebody else, it's just for me, and it was something fun to do with some reclaimed wood that we have from another job, and also for me to try testing out this, I don't even know what you'd call this, I guess this country look, old farmhouse country look. So basically what it's made to look like is that somebody painted old furniture that originally was stained or painted a dark color, and then later repainted white, and now some of the older color is starting to wear through as the white wears off. I would say overall I had fun doing this, and I like the way it looks, and we're going to use it. We're just going to put it in the bathroom as a little shelf. But it didn't come out how I wanted. I was expecting more of the dark to come through when I sanded away, and the stain went away really quick, and I got down to bare wood. So the part that's coming through isn't as dark as I wanted. I think I made two mistakes in getting the outcome I wanted. One, I should have either just painted, or maybe even better yet, multi-stained. I should have put 2 or 3 coats of stain on this and let it seep into the wood more to make it darker and be more into the wood than just on that light surface. And then even after sanding it, I didn't get out a lot of the brush strokes that I thought would easily come out. So these brush strokes are just way too apparent. I don't hate them, but it's still not the finish I wanted. I didn't want to be able to see all these brush strokes so much. A few of them I didn't mind, but this is just, it's a lot. So it probably would have been better to put a second coat, and instead of kind of doing a thick coat like I did, put on multiple layers, thin coat of the white. So I have a smoother finish to start with, and sand that back off then. Yeah, but it still is the look I wanted. I mean, it's still kind of the look I wanted. I still like it, and I think it's pretty cool, but I learned something from it. So, I don't know. Let's go ahead and go inside and put this all together, and then you can see what it looks like when we have it done and set in place.
So what do you guys think? Do you guys like the rustic look?
Yeah, this is a, I think it's called a farmhouse rustic distress look, or I don't know exactly. And this is a finish I've never done before, and we tried it out. I like it. I think it's cool. I don't know.
I really like it. It looks antique. I am happy with it. This one is just a practice, because we're planning to build most of our furniture, hopefully all of them, by ourselves.
Yeah, indoor and outdoor.
Indoor and outdoor.
The only thing we won't build is our couch. We're gonna buy a couch. But end tables, coffee tables, our outdoor furniture, we plan on building all that. So this was kind of fun. It's a good chance for us to get an idea of what it's gonna be like. And there'll be more videos coming up in the future. Look for those on us when we do build the other stuff.
Thanks for joining us. See you soon.
Thank you. Mikey's.